Clerk, time is 6 p.m. I'm going to call this special meeting of council to order. The town of Aurora acknowledges that the Anishinaabe lands on which we live and work are the traditional treaty territories of the Chippewas of Georgina Island, as well as many other nations whose presence here continues to this day. As the closest First Nation to Aurora, we recognize the special relationship the Chippewas have with the lands and waters of this territory. They are the water protectors and environmental stewards of these lands, and as a municipality, we join them in these responsibilities. We further acknowledge that the town of Aurora is part of the treaty lands of the Mississaugas and Chippewas, recognized through Treaty Number 13, as well as the Williams Treaties of 1923. A shared understanding of the rich cultural heritage that has existed for centuries and how our collective past brought us to where we are today will help us walk together into a better future. Council, can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Councillor Gallo, Councillor Weese, comments, questions? Call the vote. Councillor Gilliland. Councillor Gilliland's yes. Councillor Gardner. Councillor Gardner's yes. That carries. Any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Delegations, we have one. 5.1, Javed Khan, President and Chair, Aurora Sports Hall of Fame. Mr. Khan, welcome. You have 5 minutes. Floor is yours.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Javed Khan. I'm the president and chair of the Aurora Sports Hall of Fame, and I am here tonight because Councillor Weese's amendment requiring us to produce audited financial statements is far from a routine administrative request. It continues a long and unmistakable pattern of unequal treatment directed towards the Aurora Sports Hall of Fame, the smallest of your 5 official community partners. The amendment proposes that our funding be paused until we produce audited financial statements for 2025. On paper, that may appear harmless, but in context and when compared to other partners that are treated, it is deeply disproportionate and fundamentally unfair. As a registered charity and community partner, our annual request is approximately $30,000, an amount that has remained the same for years. Meanwhile, last week, another partner requested an additional $150,000 on top of their existing funding and received 0 questions. Our $30,000 request received 19 questions, nearly all from the same councillor. And the same thing happened last year. We are now being asked to spend up to $10,000 on audited financial statements to receive $30,000 in support. Frankly, ladies and gentlemen, this is absurd. No other community partner has been asked to do this. Selective fairness is not fairness at all. It is important to note that just last week, right here in this chamber, Mr. Jason Gardner reconfirmed that charities with under $250,000 in revenue have no requirement for audited statements. The topic was also discussed on public record at the January 23rd, 2024 Finance Advisory Committee, where Brian Roberts, Kristen Desjardins, and I were all in attendance, and where Councillor Weese himself raised the question about audit requirements. The response he received was clear, direct, and unambiguous. A direct quote from Ms. Rachel Wainwright Van Kessel during that meeting stated, and I paraphrase slightly, but accurately, that audits are for large corporations with shareholders and investors, that small nonprofits generally rely on professionally prepared statements, and that the professional ethics and accountability are the same. She also noted that requiring an audit for a small organization is a significant expense and could have significant impact on their operations. Furthermore, our treasurer, Brian Roberts, a licensed public accountant and trained auditor, reiterated that the audit threshold for nonprofits sits around $250,000 of gross revenue. Our organization is far below that. So to be clear, this push for an audit is not aligned with town policy, not aligned with practice, and not aligned with how other partners are treated. This is something else. And for those who may believe this is an isolated moment, it is not. Since the start of the last council term, this pattern has become increasingly obvious and has become personal for one councillor. Let me be direct. There has been ongoing conflict between the Aurora Sports Hall of Fame and Councillor Weese, and was once the president and chair himself. After stepping down and after the
Point of
hall,
order.
Civic councillors in this instance, we should refrain from
Well,
standing out other councillors.
I will caution the delegate to keep it professional, but at the same time, it is the councillor that put forward the amendment that he's speaking to.
It's no different than when we had called a point of order on the
No, I agree, but
delegate with the rating.
the councillor, I voted that he is speaking to the councillor that put forward the motion. I will caution him to be professional in his comments.
Thank you.
Mr. Khan, go ahead, continue.
thank you. After stepping down and after the hall secured charitable status, the organization he is the president and chair of attempted to assert control of the organization. The board rejected that effort, and since then attempts to undermine the hall that has continued. Most recently, on July 14, 2025, I received an email from this councillor from his official town account saying, and I quote, "Please remove me from your mailing list." That message was in response to an invitation to our Midsummer Barbecue, a community event held in Ward 1, the ward he represents. If there is any question about how he feels about the organization he helped create, the email says it all. This stands in sharp contrast to the many years he stood at this same podium requesting taxpayer support from the organization he is the current president of, where he continues to serve as president. Over the last decade, he requested multi-year funding grants totaling $28,000 from the Mayor's Charity Golf Classic and operating funds exceeding $309,000.
What's the question of privilege?
I can't let this continue. It's an attack on a councillor, and I just can't sit here and let this continue, Mr. Mayor. You have to stop it. I'm sorry.
Mr. Khan, I need you to keep your comments respectful. You're at your 5 minutes, but I'll let you just finish for the last, if you have a last thing to wrap it up.
And no, I don't. I have more than to say, and I don't believe this is disrespectful. These are facts.
Okay,
In
Mr.
all
Khan,
respect, Mr. Mayor.
I have to end the delegation at this time. Thank you.
Okay.
Any comments or questions to the delegate?
this up, that up.
Any comments or questions to the delegate? Mr. Khan, please do not leave yet. First, can I get a motion to receive? Councillor Gardner, second. Councillor Kim, any comments or questions? Seeing none, Mr. Khan, thank you for coming this evening. All those in favor? That carries. Move to item 7.1, Councillor Weese, this is yours. Would you like to move it? You, seconder? Councillor Gilliland, go ahead, Councillor Weese.
Yes, thank you. This motion has been some time in the making. This is the motion for the Aurora Farmers Market. Over the past couple of years, the board of the Farmers Market has been overtaxed, according to them, and in my opinion as well. And this year, a request was made for some help. They've spoken to the director of community services and discussed various models, and they landed on the one that was presented last week at council by both Kathy Williams and Lynn Logan. They did a great job of expressing themselves in the circumstances that are before them, and I ask that the proposal be approved.
Any other comments or questions? Councillor Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We heard last year, at least a year ago, that the Aurora Farmers Market needed some help. And they're such a valuable organization. It's all done by volunteers. So I agree with the help, but I don't agree that it be funded from the tax rate stabilization reserve. I think this money should be found in the community services budget, just as the money for the viewing party was. I think that there's probably money in the budget that can accommodate this.
Councillor Gilliland.
Thank you. I didn't know if that was a question to Ms. McDougall, that from Councillor
Chair, I
Gardner.
did take it as a question, so go ahead.
All right, through Mr. Mayor, Ms. McDougall, is that something that's possible? Just out of curiosity, I didn't think about that angle.
Ms. McDougall?
Through Mr. Mayor, at this time, as we wrap up the year, it's hard to say with the end of 25. This ask is for 2026. It is currently not in the operating budget at this time.
Councillor?
Thank you. Through you to Ms. McDougall, I guess Councillor Weese, maybe whoever might want to answer this. I missed the actual beginning of the delegation, but they have delegated in the past. Do they have some issues with some of the electrical components and so forth to allow themselves to function a little bit more efficiently? Is that some of the concerns? If you could just highlight some of the things there, just again, just to kind of brush up on that, would be great.
Go ahead, Councillor.
No, that's not in this motion. I actually made a request for the increase in power and at the town park, and that's not in this budget. This budget request for them is basically to become a professionally managed, volunteer-driven organization because they need some professional help in particular areas, communication, vendor support, et cetera. And they just don't feel they have the capacity any longer for doing it. I can't recall how many years both Kathy and Lynn have participated in it, but there becomes a time and succession is always a problem with not-for-profits. And so this, I think, is a solution. And I think it came through Ms. McDougall and her staff to work out a model that they felt would be appropriate.
Councillor?
Thank you. I remember the farmers market all when it was in the parking lots and behind some of the shops off Yonge Street for many, many years, and it migrated over to Town Park, and it's blossomed into a fantastic farmers market, which I really love. And through Mr. Mayor to Ms. McDougall, would it be fair to say that Aurora's farmer market has become a staple amongst not only York region but beyond since all the efforts? I think through COVID, I think we're one of the markets that actually gained a lot of traction to be doing a good job and servicing the community. Would that be a fair statement?
Ms. McDougall?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, absolutely. They have done a phenomenal job over the years, especially through COVID. They definitely have created and generated a wonderful reputation as one of the go-to farmers markets in the region.
Councillor?
Thank you. I'm a big advocate for trying to support local, and obviously we're trying to support local vendors within the community, whether you're a stationery store or whether somebody you're being creative and so forth. And so through Mr. Mayor and Ms. McDougall, you've worked with the Councillor Weese on this motion, and also Kathy as well from the farmers market. Do you feel that this is something that's being presented today that's going to allow them to level up to that next step forward and help giving support in the community? I'd really like to hear your response on that.
Ms. McDougall?
Thank you, through Mr. Mayor. I do believe it is the right step forward. It's a good opportunity to evaluate 2026 in the operating model, the governance model that we're looking to move ahead with. They still retain responsibility and oversight of the farmers market. We are just there to support from a staffing structure. They have worked hand in hand with Shelley Ware, our special events supervisor, on developing this structure. And we're confident that it would be a useful exercise to go through next year, and we'll learn from it as well as far as a long range plan.
Councillor?
Thank you. And I appreciate that feedback, that we'll learn to see how effective it was. I do believe that this is supporting our own economy within Aurora and also servicing everybody within Aurora in our community. This is what we love, is keeping things centralized and local and be able to connect with your local community, walk in the park with your kids, play. And if we are going to be investing in any of our community partners, to me, this seems to be the place. It's been really the heart of what makes us still such a small town, and where it's migrated from that back parking lot to Town Park. I really just want to ensure that we keep it at Town Park. It seems to be the hallmark place to be. And if this means that we're going to help invest in that and keep that vibrancy there, I'm happy with that. Thank you.
Councillor Kemp?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to either staff or Councillor Weese, last week, the farmers market team, they came in with particular and detailed asks. I certainly support the farmers market. They've been instrumental part of our community, and I support what we can do for them. So this 23,922, how much of this is going towards what they were asking for? Because right now it's kind of just a high level contribution of 23,922. Can we have a little bit more detail?
Ms. McDougall?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the proposal last week demonstrated a staffing need with regards to the model. They have three roles that they're looking for staff support. They currently have those roles now. However, they're looking for those staff roles to become town staff. A little bit stronger structure, oversight from an event administration and operations side of things. They have those costs already incurred on their budget. So there is a portion coming to the town. The total budget, I believe, is closer to, I'm going to say 38,000 in total, because they have, if I have my math right, no, 36,000 in total. They have 13,500 to contribute towards staffing. The rest of the balance is this 2399 or 922 that they're asking of the town to support and put towards this, all towards staffing.
Councillor?
Thank you. I'm in support of this pilot project. I think over the years, the farmers market has proved to be a known commodity, and it's happy to contribute to the continued evolution and their continued service. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gallo?
Thank you. I'm also in support of this and the increased oversight and giving the market what it needs to also expand. And I'm also in favor of funding this through anything other than the tax base. If it's a rate stabilization fund for now, but clearly it's an ongoing expense to the town, I believe it rightfully should be in the community services department. That would be my preference. Failing that, the rate stabilization fund.
Thank you. Councillor Gardner, second time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I don't want to be misunderstood. I think that the Aurora Farmers Market is a gem, and I don't know how the volunteers have been able to keep it going for so long and providing us, well, pleasure, social outlet, etc. What I'm objecting to is it being funded by the tax rate stabilization fund. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? This is exactly the type of project, a pilot project that we do utilize the tax rate stabilization reserve for. We've done it with the Windrow. We've done it with many pilot projects. Ultimately, as was mentioned, this would end up in our operations side of the budget. But using the tax rate stabilization, this is exactly the reserve that it's supposed to be used for, a defined pilot. And it's a small amount. And in 2027, if the pilot works, we can adjust that how need be and make those adjustments moving forward into the operations. Call a vote. That carries. 7.2, Councillor Kim, this is yours. Would you want to move it? Okay, seconder. No seconder? Yeah, no seconder, Councillor. No amendment. 7.3, Councillor Weese, this is yours. Do you want to move it? Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Gardner. Councillor Weese, go ahead.
Yes, thanks for the opportunity to talk about this. I want to make a couple of comments, if I may, about the presentation. First of all, it's a different story, but the unfair reference of $150,000 to the Aurora Historical Society, who I respect and value with respect to the Hillary House, was a capital grant that is there to help keep the Hillary House standing. So I think there's apples and oranges on that one. The comment about in 2018 that I tried to wrestle the organization away is just completely untrue. I will remind everybody here that Sport Aurora started the Hall of Fame, and indeed he was right. I was president for 5 years, but then when I stepped down, what happened was the constitution was changed and Sport Aurora was removed, even though we had spent 5 years building that up, and we actually left without having any town money with a reserve in place. So that's a bit of an explanation. I'm glad he brought that up because I've kept my mouth shut about it for the last number of years since it was since that was done. He asked about me declining his invitation. That was very soon after that, and it was just a human thing. I was not interested in participating in the Aurora Sports Hall of Fame in any of his activities that are spending money. In fact, I just don't believe that we should be spending money and taxpayer money on events such as that. So that was one of the other reasons. So let's get, he also asked about my FAC. When I brought up the FAC, that was 3 years ago, or when I was first on the FAC, and I'm no longer on it right now. So I did ask, and the question was, we would do it if you'd pay for it. So that was a non-starter at that time. So let me get to the issue in front of us here. This issue here is about accountability, transparency, and equity. It has nothing to do with the value of the organization. I value the organization highly. I was involved in it for quite some time. The ASHOF is well established, which is great. It's shown financial success, and it looks like they're close to self-sustainability. So good on them. I also thank Mr. Khan and Mr. Roberts for the time they took with me last week after the presentation to answer some of the questions that I felt were too detailed to discuss at the presentation. Well, it helped me learn where the money comes from and where it was spent, and some of their accounting practices as well. Some questions remain, but nothing in my request should be misunderstood or impugning anybody in that organization. And this motion is a pause. It's not a denial. The ASHOF has a year end, I believe, that happens in November 31st, 2025. So we don't even know what happened in 2025 financially. We're looking at 2024 financial statements over a year old. This motion is to have them refer their financials in 2025 for audit purposes, and then come back to us, council, with those results. So again, it's not a denial. It's just we need more information. Of great importance was the question referred to by Mr. Khan that Councillor Gallo asked of the Deputy Treasurer regarding oversight. Mr. Gartner said that the only policies we have about requiring audited statements, and it's quite right there, is whether operating reserves have accumulated beyond 1 year of operating expenses, or whether that operating revenues of over 250K per year has occurred. Neither are the case with the ASHOF. I'm not arguing that point one bit. This says to me, though, that as someone who's written grants and has reported both grants and impact and financials, that we may be missing something that provides security to our taxpayers, and the money in the organization receives is being spent where they say it's being spent. Most, if not all, grantors require a summary of where money was spent. And Mr.
Councillor
Gartner,
Weese, it's 5 minutes.
okay, I'll reserve the next bit.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Kim?
Thank you. While I appreciate Councillor Weese's intention, wanting due diligence, transparency, and so forth. I think the Aurora Sports Hall of Fame over the years have demonstrated time and time and again that their budgets have been lean, and it's been very clear and transparent. If we start asking the Sports Hall of Fame for an audited financial statements, where are we going to stop? Are we going to be asking Hillary House and all those others who don't have even close to the 250,000 recommended? I've seen the statements, and I don't see anything so untoward that needs for them to spend 9,000-10,000 on a third-party auditor. I mean, it's not a cheap ask. If we're talking about $500, $1,000, let's go that extra mile. But this is a big chunk of their annual budget, so I can't support this.
Any other comments, questions for the first time? Councillor Gilliland?
Thank you. I just wanted to kind of make note that I think the Aurora Hillary House did actually give us financial statements. I know that Councillor Kimmy had mentioned that, but they had. And when it comes down to, I guess, taxpayers, and I think what Councillor Weese is talking about, it's more or less understanding beyond what's being presented. And we just passed a new policy, yes, for the 250K, but there's obviously some unanswered questions. So I don't think it's really right to say that if you have unanswered questions, you want more clarity, that Councillor Weese, if he wants to have more clarity, I think he's got that right, and taxpayers have that right. So I just don't agree that we're framing this all in one bucket, because if other partners are giving it, then voluntarily, I don't think it's a wrong ask, is all I'm suggesting. And I don't like it being framed in the sense that we're targeting, because I don't think that's fair either. So if there's some unanswered questions and taxpayers are donating or giving to an organization or funding an organization, that council has every right to ask those questions. And the operating has increased significantly over the last few years. So fair enough that, Councillor Weese has some questions, but I feel like he has some more things to say. So I'm interested in hearing the rest of his delegation on his amendment. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Councillor Weese, second time.
Thanks, and I appreciate the comments from both Councillor Kim and Councillor Gilliland. I would have corrected the comment about the AHS because they are a charity and they do have audited financial statements and they're similar. So let me just carry on with what caught my eye, and it caught other people's eyes as well. The 3-year increase in expenses that was referred to by Councillor Gilliland shows that from their statements that 91,489 was 3 years ago, and this last statement, which is again 2024, is 184,549, which is a 3-year increase of 101.7%. That deserves some scrutiny, I believe. Likewise, they have other charitable purposes of education, and I saw some discrepancies between what was in the financial statements and what was presented here about what they're using their funding for. And so when the questions get raised, I tried to get some of these straightened out before the meeting, but they just didn't get done. There are other issues in there about the expenses around websites and communication. Again, until you get the details of this, you're not really sure, but the expenses on that seem to be rather high over the last 5 to 7 years. I only bring these items up to show that the increases in expenses and the correct assignment of public money to programs and the discrepancies between what is asked and what is reported are important. I think both the ASHOF board and the town should be diligent about spending public money and accounting for it. The town has declared that no policies exist about oversight of grantees to ensure the money given is spent on what has been asked for, and perhaps we should be looking at other policies. So why an audit? Audit strength and accountability. improve public trust, enhances organizational performance, verified financial statements that are accurate, showing that funds are spent in alignment with the charity's mission is the goal. That therefore extends to our public money that is being given. Lastly, and from an equity point of view, all other community partners have audits, regardless of their size, because we give them public money. The ASHOF is the only one presently that doesn't. Finally, in the last 5 years, the town has provided $174,200 in cash and another $100,000 in curatorial service. They have declared, the ASHOF has declared $109,000 in cash reserves. This is the cost of doing charity business in Ontario. If you're an established charity, you should include audited statements, and the ASHOF has reserves to manage this. I ask that the motions approved now so that this issue does not arise year after year.
Councillor Gallo?
Thank you. I just wanted to, I've heard it here, but can we, through you, Mr. Mayor, just confirm from staff whether or not all of the other cultural partners have audited financial statements?
Swear Van Kessel.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the other partners did provide audited financial statements. The only other ones, the Aurora Cultural Center is over the 250,000, as well as
Library.
Pardon?
Library.
The library. The library's audited statements are actually part of our audited statements because they are a subsidiary of the town. The two that did not required to have audited statements are the Historical Society, as they are under the 250, as well as ASHOF.
Councillor?
Just to confirm that the Aurora Historical Society did produce audited financial statements.
Yes, but it was not required.
It wasn't required. I think their total expenses are for 2025, 176,000. Sorry. Their budget is 159,000. So regardless of our bylaw and threshold, we clearly have another organization that is doesn't require it, but does it anyway at their expense. So in my view, it is consistent with all the other groups, notwithstanding two that are mandated, the library and the Aurora Cultural Center. We do have a sample of another cultural partner that does produce audited financial statements, and I'm not even quite sure what the issue is. It's good for everyone, the organization and us, and the public. I'm not entirely convinced of the price tag of $10,000. I've done many, and for far less for larger organizations. So it's unfortunately the cost of doing business, but I think it benefits everyone, the organization, us, and the public.
Any other comments or questions? The $9,000 to $10,000 that is estimated for an audit, where do you think that money is going to come from? Taxpayers. So you're just adding another 10 grand to the tax bill. This amendment is unnecessary, unfair, and contrary to our town's policy, so I will not be supporting it. Call a vote. That carries 4-2. 7.4, Councillor Weese, this is your amendment. Did you want to move it? Seconder. Councillor Gilliland, go ahead, Councillor Weese.
Yes, this motion really came out of requests from the Ratepayers associations. We have 9 Ratepayers associations that are registered, and 5 of them are in my ward. Some of them have grown to be rather large, and so they have accumulated expenses such as printing, duplicating. They can't find meeting space unless they pay for it for most of their AGMs, although the town does identify that they will be allowed to use some of the town's facilities for their meetings. The amount of money is based around $500 just as an expense. And I'm not even sure that's the right number because this is the first time we've done it. If there's another way that we can keep the budget from being impacted, and it can be rolled into an existing budget or a budget that can be increased, such as the councillor's ward budget, so that they can help their ratepayers manage their circumstances, that would be fine. They have stickers that they have for their neighborhood watches. They have duplication, printing, and distribution that's done at the same time. And they've just simply asked for some help with this. So I think they need help. They're people that are at the grassroots. They're providing good information. They're concerned about safety, about traffic, about all the other things. And somehow they don't think that they have an ear. And that's what I'm here for, is to provide them with that ear. So I'm hoping that we can approve this motion so that they have 500 per association, but the details of how that's to be managed and controlled, I haven't put into the motion yet. I think that's something that we could probably work out through staff. So that's all I have.
Councillor Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are two ratepayers associations in my area, the Henderson Forest and the Regency Acres. No, I don't know about the Henderson Forest, but the Regency Acres, everything's online. So we never need meeting rooms or anything, printing or anything like that. I don't think the Henderson Forest has more than their annual general meeting. I am concerned, though, that for things like printing and meeting space, that the town is not providing that. I think that should be a given. So I don't know if that's in kind, then that's what we should call it. But I am spoken with Councillor Weese. I'm not in favor with this. I'd like to see what we could offer as in kind. And also I'd like to know through Mr. Mayor to Ms. Wainwright Van Kessel, we have $1,000 to spend in our wards.
Mhm.
Could we not?
I know what you're going to say. You can use it for this. Yeah. for this purpose.
So we can use those expenses. So it's not just barbecues and.
Yep.
Yes. I think I thank Councillor Weese for raising this. Many years ago in the committees that were, all volunteers, residents, we didn't even serve coffee. These people are working hard to do a service for the town and to protect their neighborhoods. So I would like to see what we can come up with. The two things that Councillor Weese mentioned, and I'm sure there are others, but seems to be the meeting rooms and the printing. So I don't know if anybody on staff wants to answer that, or I'll just leave that for now.
Okay.
The main thing was we can use the $1,000.
Well, I think in some, Councillor, I can answer, in some instances, we have provided a meeting place at no cost.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe we do for their annual general meeting, but some of these groups meet every month.
Yes,
So,
I
and
understand.
I think there's probably space in the town. They would have to accommodate us with respect to what's available, but I have quite a few rooms in this town that are not being used.
A councillor can also permit a space within the town hall at no cost
Well,
if
And
they are in attendance at that meeting.
I have a feeling Councillor Weese is in attendance at all of the meetings, as am I, unless there's unforeseens like a budget meeting. So I'd like to hear what Councillor Gallo and then response from Councillor Weese.
Councillor Gallo?
Thank you. I'm in favor of this, and I think it's a good idea. And these are volunteers in our community that are extremely helpful and valuable to what we do. And I would find it hard to believe that we can't find $4,500 in the community services budget. I believe that's the right place for it. I won't be in favor of increasing the budget to do this. To me, even it's probably less than that if they don't have to rent out any rooms. I don't think there should be a limit to how many they can rent in a year, and I don't believe that there's necessarily a geographic area for all of these in terms of if it's divided into particular wards. I believe some of them probably overlap each other. So in my view, they should have access to free rooms, not just once a year, and whatever budget for any other things that they would require can come out of the community services budget.
Okay. Councillor Weese, second time.
Yes, and thanks for that support. Again, I'm doing this because they requested it. I don't attend all of those meetings. There's a meeting, for instance, this Thursday night with the Town Park Community Association. They have no place to go. And the reason they have no place to go is because they don't want to take people out of their general area and come somewhere else. And that's their problem, not our problem. I think we need to provide the opportunity for them to come if they choose. Most of these are done in a living room. And some of these groups are just getting bigger, and they need some assistance. And again, there's no help with costs for coffee and other kinds of things that you have at these kinds of meetings. So I just brought this up because they wanted it, and they wanted to have it discussed here at budget. If it can be rolled in within the ward councillor budget, I'm fine with that. I just don't want the extra expenses and managing those expenses. I'd like to have it managed by people who manage these kinds of things rather than go through all of my councillor colleagues' time and effort to manage an expense account for, in my case, 5 different ratepayers associations. So I think the process needs to be streamlined a lot better.
Councillor Gardner, second time.
Thank you. From what I've just heard at the table, I don't think this motion applies. If we are able to use our councillor's budget, if the town is willing to give space, and in-kind printing, I don't know really what that would cost. If it was exorbitant, then maybe we have to have a budget, but this won't apply to all committees. It won't all ratepayers associations. It won't apply to either of mine. There's one in Councillor Thompson's ward. Or maybe there's 2 now. I don't know, but I would like to take this off the table and rework it so that they do have the support they need with respect to meeting space and miscellaneous expenses, and I don't necessarily agree that the councillor needs to be there every time. They're there to do a service for their community, which is part of our community. If they need to meet, they need to meet. I know that most of the time we try and go to these meetings, but it just seems to me that the $4,500 is well, you can take $1,000 right off the top for my 2 ratepayers associations. So I think we need to look at this better, but I don't think the councillor should be out of pocket. I don't think the residents who are serving the community should be out of pocket. So if Councillor Weese would perhaps like to send this back to staff to get more information, I would appreciate it.
Councillor Gilliland.
Thank you. To you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know, maybe it's Ms. McDougall. I don't know what department. Do you feel that this funding could come from a community services department? I'm just trying to figure out where this belongs, because I don't feel like this belongs in the council budget or council expense report.
Ms. McDougall.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, for this particular, it's more of a committee or an extension of council, then it would be more of a community services partner. It's my view. I don't know. Clerk feels about that, or fine, or treasurer, but to me that is, and that's where I would see it landing more. So it's in a committee meeting type of structure, not in a community services type of structure.
Councillor.
Okay, through you, we currently offer some meeting spaces right now, but from what my understanding is that some of the spaces that we have may not accommodate the size of the party of people who actually want to come with the ratepayers and so forth. So where do you feel the solution might lie as far as accommodating, say there's a ratepayers association and they have 100 members. Some of our meeting space rooms may not accommodate that, unless I'm wrong.
Ms. McDougall?
Through Mr. Mayor, you are correct. We can work with them and provide meeting room spaces at no cost for smaller spaces, such Lexan Room, for example, or the new meeting room at the SARC. But when they get to a larger capacity, like you're suggesting, possibly 100 members, we're very limited on what spaces, maybe the Breivik at Town Square and or the auditorium at ACC, that those spaces are not under our policy to offer for free to nonprofit organizations. So right now we have the guidance to handle certain meeting room sizes and spaces, but not to this extent
Councillor?
currently.
Councillor?
And that was mentioned. The councillor office is mentioned where the councillor can book this space. Yes.
Thank you. Sorry. I'm sorry. You're saying the councillor cannot book the chambers is what you're suggesting?
Yep.
At no additional cost? Okay. I don't know, Councillor Weese, I just feel like maybe we could refer back to staff to come back with some sort of a model, some model to allow some sort of system where ratepayers can come and actually apply for something. I just feel like there's no process in place as of yet till it's for ratepayers to know, hey, we can contact a town and we have access to XYZ or this amount of subsidy to, ABC. I feel like perhaps maybe that could be a good way to come back and kind of figure out, is this going to actually cost more money on the budget? I don't know. Unless there's a little bit more to that. If I may, through Mr. Mayor, if I could just ask Councillor Weese, I don't want to take a second time. I just want to ask Councillor Weese, was there something beyond the actual meeting space that the intention of this funding was for?
Councillor?
The only other thing that, and I've spoken to the CAO about this, is the neighborhood watch signs that comes out of the town's budget. And I don't exactly know where that comes from, but it's a community safety issue. So it's something that we need to do. I'm glad you asked me the question. Again, I put the $500 up there, not because I've done any study on it or any research on what they need. It's just casual conversations with the chairs of those committees, wondering how the town could support them because they end up having difficulties finding these. So if the idea is to refer it back to staff and in the interim that it goes to the ward budgets and we keep track of what kind of costs are being incurred for 2026, then I think that's a reasonable way about going about it. That way we don't have to spend more money in our budget. And the only problem it'll do is it does take some money away from councillors who spend some money on other types of things that they're eligible for. So I'm happy to leave it as it is, as a placeholder for some dollars and cents that could be used in 2026. Or if you want it to be deferred, I can have a conversation with the CAO and other directors who may find out where this more reasonably lies. That's my response to the questions.
Yep. Any other comments or questions?
Sorry, it was a response to me. So thank you. I appreciate that response. I feel like I don't want to take away from where budget's councillor's budget. I don't feel the ward councillor should be responsible for the expensing, the reporting of that. I feel that if we put it in staff's hand to come back to say, here's the best model that we feel best serve the ratepayers associations, and we have X amount of funds or allocation or so forth to accommodate them, I think that would be a good approach, and put a placeholder in if it does require extra funding. Through Mr. Mayor, Councillor Weese, I don't know if you're open to that. I feel like this is great, but I just don't know if we have a process in place that makes sense the way it's written today. Would you be open to referring this to staff to come back with some sort of process in place to allocate funding if need and report back?
Councillor Weese?
I'm quite happy with that. I just wanted a placeholder put in place so that there'd be some money, and I don't know what the number is. So I'm
going to interrupt for I'm going to interrupt for a second and just say that that's not necessarily appropriate for a budget amendment. This is. What you're suggesting is actually a notice of motion that should come outside of the budget process. And, quite frankly, we're talking about staff creating a comprehensive townwide policy review, looking at guidelines, accountability, how it would be spent. That's something that would come from a notice of motion. It's not necessarily changing the budget, making an amendment to the budget. So I would suggest that we deal with this that's in front of us. And if at that time, Councillor, if this doesn't pass, you want to bring that forward, I'm sure you have more than enough time to put it in for December, and staff can go away with it if it passes at that time, and they can come back with a fulsome report that I'm sure will achieve what everyone's asking for.
I'm amenable to that.
Okay, thank you. I'll call the vote then. That's defeated. Councillor Gilliland, this one's yours. Did you want to move it? Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Gallo, thank you. Councillor Gilliland, go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to have an opening statement here just to emphasize that my intent is to build a strong foundation that we've already had in this budget. And it isn't about criticizing anybody's work, but it's really just about fine tuning the priorities so we can best serve the community together. And I know I've got quite a few amendments here, and it's really about ensuring that we're spending aligns with all our shared goals within the community's well-being and our local economy vitality. We all want the same thing. A budget reflects the needs of our residents, supports our local businesses, and promotes a vibrant and balanced community. So as I present these amendments coming forward, because the next few are going to be from me, no, they're just coming from a place of wanting to enhance what's already been proposed in a spirit of collaboration and shared commitment to our town's future. As far as this LED screen, I did reach out to some tech professionals and so forth, and did reach out to some constituents and did get some feedback. And, I am bringing this motion forward because I believe we just don't have enough information really about the justification of spending over six figures on the mobile LED screen. And this is a discretionary item, and it is at a place that we've already invested a lot of capital already. That is, I feel, will be the primary intent of the location of the use, just based on the business case that was presented. It's not a core infrastructure, it's not safety related, and it's not tied to any legislative requirement. But before we commit to any kind of that money, council does deserve somewhat of a business case on its use, and we need to see the return on investment and the operational need. The rental versus purchase comparison, long-term rental costs, maintaining, storing, and so forth. And I have heard from some professionals that it's not as simple as having any IT staff just hooking it up and saying, okay, it's good to go. There's a lot more complication to it. And the mobility of it's a lot different, and the way you store it's a lot different. So for me, it just had a little bit of red flags. And if I am to, look at any kind of growth anew, this is just one of these things that I'm looking at, saying, let's just pause and just take a look at this and see if this is in our best interest to spend this money right now on that. I know I want to be mindful that we spent a lot of time talking about the importance of the community connection and getting people offline. I would prefer to encourage more participation in person and active in-person physical activity. So getting people away from screens. I do think it makes sense to push those values on one hand and then rush the purchase on another larger screen. So this motion here in front of us is not to cancel anything. It's simply wanting to pause it so we can take a look at the purchase and ask the due diligence that I think it does deserve for this kind of capital and size. And if the business case proves that the value is there, then council can make that decision with confidence. And if it doesn't, then we've avoided an unnecessary cost at this time. So I do think that's a responsible approach.
Any other comments, questions? Councillor Gallo?
Thank you. I just had a question through you to staff. In this case or any other capital item that, let's say, we remove, what happens to that that allocation to that particular item like this? For example, we have a cash to capital amount. We wouldn't necessarily be saying if we remove a capital item that cash to capital is reduced.
Mr. Mayor Van Kessel.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, so what would happen is if a project gets removed from the plan, then the money would remain in the reserve. It does not impact the contributions to the reserve. It's only impacting the draws from a reserve.
Councillor.
And just to help us understand how that works, it's a set amount that we establish on an annual basis, and it's established by what? By through the budget process, by a bylaw. Through you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor Van Kessel.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, so there's a few different ways in which the funding is contributed to the reserves. There are some which are obviously grants and development charges that come from third parties. For tax-funded reserves, there are a couple of sources. So in-year supplementary taxes that we receive, over 150,000 go to our growth and new reserve. Any contributions to our asset management studies, another reserve is part of our contributions through the fiscal strategy, which we are increasing by 1% this year. And we also allocate any completed debt to as well. And those are in accordance with the fiscal strategy and also trying to work towards achieving the requirements of the asset management plan. On the rate funded budget, which includes water, wastewater, and stormwater, those contributions are made in alignment with the requirements of the asset management plan.
Councillor.
And through you, Mr. Mayor, do we know how much of what amount is coming from when we say 2.2% increase? What amount of that goes to capital?
Mr. Mayor Van Kessel.
Of the 2.2%, there is 1 full percent, which is part of the fiscal strategy, which goes directly to capital, mostly to asset management reserves.
Councillor.
Thank you.
Councillor Weese.
Yes, thanks. Such as Councillor Gilliland, I really believe in the activity and getting people away from screens, and I hadn't really thought about that. But I also believe that for those people who can't go to a bar or a place where this is, or don't have the resources to attend something and they want to be out in public socializing. I mean, one of our things that we say about a quality community is it provides connections and gathering spaces. So this is an opportunity to do it. But my question is, I guess, through you, Mayor, to Ms. McDougall, is having to do with the price and all of the other things in number 2 here that Councillor Gilliland talks about. Was that kind of a feasibility study done in advance in order to select this particular piece of equipment? And if so, can you tell me how rigorous it was? And it'll help me with my vote on this. So through you to Ms. McDougall.
Ms. McDougall.
Through Mr. Mayor, yes, certainly in order to put this forward, and you may remember from the NBA Watch Party report that staff recognized we were renting. That cost was a steep cost for one day's rental. So we recognized we needed to do further analysis in order to decide which path to take from a capital investment or from rental, which directly hits operating every year and every time we spend the money for it. Where capital, it's a one-time, yes, it built up through tax levy, but it's a one-time cost, not on the operating directly. That being said, when we did the cost comparison from a rental per use versus the ownership, rental right now is going for about $10,000 a day. It has gone up significantly even since last summer. So quite likely due to the popularity of many municipalities going this way as it relates to these events that are watch parties or other community celebrations on LED screens. So looking at it from a rental perspective compared to ownership, the amount of times we could utilize it if we owned it far outweighs what you could do for the same amount in rental. So from a rental perspective, we would say by year one of an expenditure from a capital cost, you've paid for that capital purchase based on the amount of rental operating costs you've cost yourself. Certainly, there's a replacement cost that was built into our return on investment as well. We recognize that at the end of approximately year 5, we'd likely need to switch out and buy a new one, but that item still has value and can be resold. So there is also that to be captured into the valuation related to return on investment. When you buy something, there's still value at the end, even though it might be on last legs for us and at risk of failure, it still has some value to others. So that price would come back in to assist us to buy the next one. We also looked at, in relation to partnerships or sponsorships, advertising related to the acquisition of the screen. We're still pursuing that. It's still our goal to ultimately have somebody, our company branded, supporting us in this purchase that would help offset that cost. But even for every single event, now it just adds us another opportunity to demonstrate advertising or sponsorship dollars or revenue. Because those screens can definitely scroll an ad. They can scroll a promotion. If we have a car dealership, a realtor, or whomever that's purchased ad space, it helps offset the costs of that special event and certainly the utilization day-to-day use of that screen. So those certainly have been topics of conversation related to the choice to go rental or the choice to go ownership. We also looked at the staffing model and certainly the setup and takedown and storage as it relates to the unit. The model we are looking at is a mobile unit. So it's all one, stuck together, comes on its own trailer. It could be stored at our JOC operations center, so there's no additional cost for storage. Our own transportation team can move it to the site or destination wherever we choose to display it. As far as setup and tech support to it, we've had IT directly involved in the decision of even the NBA watch party. They were directly hands-on related to that. They've done site visits with us, looking at the potential procurement of one if we were to go that path. What would we need? We've heard from them that they have the skill sets to do this. And certainly if they have the skill sets, they can train more internal staff to handle the skill sets to operate. So from our perspective, the acquisition versus rental on an ongoing basis is a much better return on the use of that purchase or the dollars being spent. Hope that answers your question.
Councillor, I'll add movies in the park as well, which we do. There's 3 of them. I believe the rental on the movies in the park is $3,500. Is that correct, Ms. McDougall? And if you've been to a movies in the park, you know it's an inflatable one and that we can't play it until about 9 o'clock or at least until dusk, which is problematic. And we've heard a lot of comments back from residents that they're there with young kids and starting at 9 o'clock is tough. If we have this screen, then we have the ability to play it at earlier times and also play it more frequently. We can maybe possibly have more than 3 movies in the park as well. And it can also be utilized at concerts in the park as well.
Oh, good. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I have a 6-year-old who lives with me and he goes for a half an hour and has to go home. So it's really doesn't help the younger kids for the graphic types of things that they like to watch. And thank you for the response. Number 2, it sounds like there is a business case and you have done operational needs and rent versus purchase options, life cycle storage, all of that. You've gone through it. So it really is getting down to just a money thing in this budget and this year. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Councillor Kemp.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Upon reading the motion or the amendments, I don't see the amendment as being onerous or unreasonable. But through you, Mr. Mayor, to Ms. McDougall, when we pause to provide staff time to come up with the responses that's being asked here, and you've pretty well responded to 2/3 of them already. I don't see this being an onerous ask. You can probably, I guess my first question would be, how long would it take for you to respond back to the amendments? And my second question is, I'm fine with pausing, but if you remove it from the 26 capital budget, and we decide to go ahead with it, then we don't have the budget we don't have the money in the 26 capital budget. So can we put a bookmark instead of removing it, put a bookmark in there so that it gives you some time to work on the responses to the satisfaction of council?
Google.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it certainly would be a clarity question staff would like to ask of pause and remove. So for us, yes, if it's removed, talking about the treasurer, to me, it's not in. So it'll be a whole new ask, an in-year ask for the capital project. It wouldn't be in the budget yet. Pausing, to me, I interpret that as it's potentially on hold, but it's held and conditional until the staff report back. So there's sort of two different interpretations as far as I'm concerned. As it relates to the timing of when we could report back, looking at the council cycle, it would have to probably be in the January cycle. The only concern I have of that is the lead time on procuring. We obviously all know if in fact we're successful and this is a yes and staff want to move forward, one of the biggest events coming in 2026 is FIFA. And we would love to be able to demonstrate and show those on the screen so that the longer we take in procuring, the riskier we are of not having the item in time for something so significant. And we have a Canadian on that team, Aurora, I should say, on that team. So that would be something we would love to aim for. Lead time on this, based on, again, on conversations we've had, again, the popularity of these screens surrounding us in many municipalities, it could be a challenge. That'd be my only caution if we were to wait and come back with a report.
Council.
Okay. Thank you. That's all.
Any other comments or questions? Councillor Gallo.
Thank you. If this did not pass through, Mr. Mayor, and it remained in the 2026 capital budget, would it have a pressure on the tax base? Would it affect the 2.2 that's currently in play?
Mr. Mayor, any questions?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, this has no impact on the tax base.
Thank you.
Councillor Gilliland, second comment.
Thank you. I'm happy to, with the language removed from the amendment. I didn't really clarify that with the clerk if I needed to have both in there to have this amendment. Just making a generalized comment. Clearly, we got a lot of answers back from the Director of Community Services about the business case, which I felt that some of that detail was not there. I know the last time that we did have a conversation about the watch parties and so forth, when it did come back, that I had made a comment about having a bit more analysis about watch parties and the costs and going forward. So I kind of expected a little bit more from that with this ask with the LED screen. So I feel like I had asked for it before, and then we got the ask for the product before I got that analysis. So I feel like I should have had those answers. Listening to some of the explanation that was said, reflecting based on the watch party, it was $5,000 per show. But then I overheard you say 10,000. So now all of a sudden that's double. So this is what I mean. Like, I'm trying to understand the numbers and how things pan out as far as value. I'm hearing a lot of conflicted information, and I'm just really trying to find it all in one spot. So at least taxpayers know, okay, if this is what we're going to spend money on, this is how it looks, and this is why we came to that conclusion. And right now, I just don't have all that information. Now, the other thing I didn't really touch on, and I did say this, was, we are trying to revitalize the downtown core, and we are trying to draw people down to our downtown core. But I also hear from local restaurants and bars within my ward that also benefit from people going and enjoying these shows in their establishments. And I certainly don't want to be negatively affecting people from going to their establishments to watch these high performance sports events as well. So I thought that the last time that this report had come to council, that I wanted to have some sort of report about that negatively, whether it was negatively impacting them or not, and just some sort of comments about that. And right now, I don't have any of that, other than the fact that this looks like a great project. It looks like we have a TV, and it can do well for the community, and it's great. I just want, for me, it's more about the principle of, let's have the information here so we can all see it together and we can all make that informed decision. So that's kind of where I am today, but I'm happy to say, let's pause it. Through you, Mr. Mayor and Ms. McDougall, I mean, clearly you have a lot of the information. Surely you should be able to get this in the December agenda for us to take a look at. And then if we would like, I mean, you seem to have a lot of the answers tonight, but I just feel like there's some conflicting information there and I want to see it on paper. Through you, Mr. Mayor and Ms. McDougall, do you think that you'd be able to provide that information to council for the December agenda?
Ms. McDougall, you said January, but go ahead.
Through Mr. Mayor, I had time-wise, I believe just January is more suitable. The agenda technically for December, we've already gone through review, and it's to be issued next Tuesday. For me to pull a report together for you, for it to be issued, it would not be ready for the December 2nd Committee of the Whole. I'll do my very best. I maybe could issue some more anecdotal email with summary of what I've just described tonight to you, but to have it in a formal report and on that structure would be tight.
Councillor.
Thank you. Through Mr. Mayor and Ms. McDougall or Mr. Nanarozny, I know there has been some occasion that we do have items for discussion at council. Is that fair?
We do, but from what I hear, sometimes council says, why are they coming straight to council? But we do on occasion.
So I'm just asking, would this, considering the expectation, we would all know it's coming, it gives some added clarity. This is something that perhaps we could have for council in December, and we all know it's coming to get this information on this item, and we're all on the same page, because I do believe it's important that you can see where I'm going, because I got the report for the parties. I asked for the information before we actually made any more investments. We didn't get that. And now we're being asked to make a decision before getting that. So for me, it's about principle.
Okay. And just to remind everyone, council's just a week later after committee in December. Yep. Councillor Gardner, go ahead. I didn't know that was a question.
Through Mr. Mayor, she did ask if one more week would give me the time. I'll do my very best.
Councillor Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just some clarification, please. I'm not sure from Councillor Gilliland or staff. Would there be options for supporting event programming through rentals? Sponsorships, partnerships, collaborations, etc. Do you see, maybe we haven't thought that far. We've just thought about the town of Aurora's use. But do you see any possibilities of the second bullet happening? Through you, Mr. Mayor.
Certainly, through Mr. Mayor. The specific item of renting it, and I think what you're asking is if we would consider renting it out. We would not want to propose that. That is too much of a risk. It's such a valuable asset. We would not want to venture into that. I think with the reference, correct me if I'm wrong, Councillor Gilliland, is more about the use of it internally, where it could be used for our rental events. If not just sporting events, but we're looking at from a cultural perspective as well, enhancing Canada Day, enhancing multicultural festival. It's not intended to be just a sporting screen. It's movies, it's culture, it's music, it's dance. So from us, we could partner with our Aurora Cultural Center, library, whomever may be interested, and that's the partnership aspect we see as an option.
Council.
Thank you. Can you see for something like Multicultural Day that there might be sponsorships or partnerships with that?
Through Mr. Mayor, absolutely. And I think that this, the goal would be that this is an added feature where sponsorships could be afforded or provided an opportunity to add to their sponsorship. We obviously do a great job in acquiring sponsorships for our events. This could be an additional opportunity for them to have their promotion promoted next to the screen or on the screen.
So this actually could bring some money into the town. Thank you. And the thing about negatively affecting local business, hard one, but really important. I don't know how we would even go, but you want to respond through Mr. Mayor?
Through Mr. Mayor, it would be difficult to ascertain. Yeah. However, we have two experiences now, or three now, where we can look back and through dialogue, just those that attended NBA Watch Party, the rugby event, and the Blue Jays series. Just anecdotally, watching and looking at who is in attendance at these events are very family based, not typically those that would be in a bar setting where these
Okay.
sporting events would be. That being said, this screen isn't just for sporting events, which the restaurants in town would also like to promote and have people in their business, but they are for the cultural side of things. Arts, music, film, whatever other uses. Our team has got lots of options they've already exploring that is not just sport. And certainly in our restaurants downtown, they wouldn't be exploring those within their restaurants.
Councillor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Councillor Weese, second time.
Yeah, so I'm at a crossroads here with the vote because I want this to go through. However, so if I say yes to this, it says you're coming back with a report, then, I mean, I'm encouraging this to be done. So I hate to ask that question again, but did you say that there's some worry about getting it done for FIFA and that January would be a reasonable time for you to get approval to go ahead with this and then make sure that it's prepared for when FIFA comes in through you to them,
Ms.
to
McDougall?
Ms. McDougall?
Through Mr. Mayor, our concern of January is just making it that much tighter for the turnaround, the lead time. So I think that's why Councillor Gilliland was supporting it. If I could get the report to you sooner. Our goal, if approved through the budget process, would be ready to press go on that procurement the minute the budget is ready and approved, if it's looking that way, simply because the turnaround could be challenging. So to answer your question, if a council report is due back for council to make a decision, I would prefer it to be in December, and I'll do my very best to give you everything you need to help you make that decision.
Councillor.
Well, for me, the motion here just is really about the diligence that you've done already and asking the question. And I think you've done the diligence already. And I don't really think we need to have it pending any further analysis. The analysis will be what you've provided here. So I'll not be supporting this because I want to see this move forward. And we hope that that report will still come back to us and we'll have an opportunity to see what is in it. But your answers to me today were very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Call a vote. Councillor Gardner. Councillor Gardner. That's defeated. Next, Councillor Gilliland, this is yours. Did you want to move it?
The sales. Yeah, but I would prefer to remove the word removed because it's a kind of a double entendre. So it's really just pausing.
Seconder. Councillor Weese. Go ahead, Councillor Gilliland.
Thank you. Just trying to find my notes here. Okay. As far as these sunshade sales, I don't oppose having a shade kind of structure within the area. For me, I'm just looking at a little bit more information on this because I do have experience with these sail shades structures in other areas where I've seen on patios that were specifically installed for the purpose of shade and so forth, but very, very, very limited to certain times of day. So imagine a beach umbrella, you put it in the sand, you think you're going to get your shade, but it's really 3 feet behind you. And so reading the business case about shading the people who are doing the entertaining in that specific area, to me kind of felt like you're only designating maybe a couple hours of the day where you're going to get that shade. And I just didn't know or felt that you would get the best use out of a permanent structure. So for instance, you put that permanent structure in, maybe you only get shade where you want for those entertainers for, 1.5 hours of the day, but the rest is kind of moot. It doesn't necessarily work. Have we looked at whether or not it makes more sense to have something that's more mobile so you could move it around depending on the time of the event or the time where the entertainers are actually performing, for lack of a better term. Also, by putting these large posts there, are you hindering some of the capability of transforming the space into something different or greater? Or is that going to be something that down the road could be in the way? These are a lot of the questions that I have. Also, just considering that it's not just as simple as purchasing sales and putting them up. There's also maintenance costs. They cannot be year round. They can't be out in the snow. They have to be taken down and so forth. So I have some unresolved questions and answers about whether or not this is the best way to provide shade. And then also, is this something that, perhaps should have, a sponsorship or something or other. I mean, we've invested a lot of capital at this one spot. And so I know that within some upcoming amendments I have going forward with growth and new, I'm looking to spread the growth and new dollars to other parts of town as well. As opposed to just one particular location that we've invested, already a large sum of money, $60 million actually. And so I feel that maybe perhaps we should take a look at this and really analyze this to make sure that we're not pegging ourselves to where we're putting these sales up that could hinder future ways that we're organizing things. And also, will these sales actually work the way that we want, just based on the map and the way I saw things? I used some examples of myself being in a restaurant on a patio against a brick wall, and it was the hottest part of the day, but yet nothing was shaded. So although that they were sold these beautiful sails that went all along the wall, nobody got shade when they really needed it most. Pickleball courts, I've played at, sails all through the center. Oh, it all makes sense, but certain times of the day, like you're there and you're taking a break, you didn't get any shade where you need the shade. So I just not convinced with the business. Again, it's like within the business case, I just felt like, hey, I think we need a little more information. So I'm happy to pause it and just kind of get some more information back about whether or not this is the best case or use of shade for this area.
Thank you. Councillor Weese.
Yes, and this reminds me of the last one. Asking for more information. So my question is going to be through you to Ms. McDougall. What kind of diligence has been done on this to say that sales are the right thing? The engineering is correct. I worried about that. I talked to some people about the overheads that were in the town square. I will agree that we need shade and we need a good bunch of shade because it's a heat sink in there many days when it's hot as well as sunny. So through you, Mayor, could you give us a little bit of that diligence and some security that the concerns that Councillor Gilliland have been looked at vis-a-vis the alternate shade solutions, portable systems, temporaries, all the rest of that? Could you help us with that, please? Through you, Mayor.
Ms. McDougall.
Through Mr. Mayor, certainly through an event experience with portables, we learned through those that they're very susceptible to wind potential and damage, not to mention the mobility and setup requirements every day. That just adds more staffing costs and challenges, and the wear and tear because they're going up and down every day. In doing that, we did talk about the types of shade structures. They don't have to be sails. Sails, to us, we were looking at what has been traditional in a lot of our newer parks. We've gone to a sail structure and subsequently looking at more of a theme within the town of Aurora, as well as the consistency within the staff that do have to take down the sails or put the sails back on every year. It's just a consistent use of equipment for them. As far as the angular sun direction, it definitely is a challenge in that square for sure, no doubt. When we have had performances and performers are always in that corner where we're proposing them to be. The shade structure, as we understand it, would have to have the appropriate angle. And we've seen them in different configurations, the way they tilt and pin. I'd be looking for an architect to properly design what would work. Similar to what is over top and proposed over the seating for the public. Again, the direction of each of these sails would have to come from a trained architect or landscape architect that would understand the sun's direction on our square to best utilize the sail in its most functional purpose. As far as up and down functions, some early spring back up in the fall, that is something our team, we do every year anyway. They don't have to stay up year round, and nor are we as concerned about the shade in our winter time. So that's not as big of a concern for us. As far as the pillars that these would produce, in some areas, we are going to attempt to utilize the pillars that exist. So we're not adding pillars to the location and or even tacking it to one side to the bridge that exists. So we're not having to add extra pillars. Certainly our biggest thing to ensure is that there is continual access to the square. So that the shade structures, the way the pillars are configured, we can still get vehicles in and underneath the shade structure out into the square as needed in case there's contractor work to be done. I think that answers most of the questions that Councillor Gilliland had posed.
Councillor Weese?
Yeah, the only one that I'm concerned about is the engineering of it. I mean, was there a study done on the engineering of it? Because, it's going to be attached to the lighting system that's in there and we don't want damage of that. So has somebody had a good review of it to say that it's safe from a liability, but also from every other point of view, that it's an appropriate use of that sail technology through you to
Ms. McDougall?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that has to be verified first. We would make sure our first attempt is to use something that exists, so we're not adding pillars. But obviously, we'd have to make sure we have the proper tests done to ensure the pillar from a structural perspective can withstand the kite being on it. If it can't, then we would be adding another pillar.
And so unlike the concern we have with FIFA and the timing on this, this is not quite as urgent need so we could wait a little bit, we could put it on pause, we get the engineering study and everybody would be happy. I don't think it's the issue of money. It's really about making sure that we're approving something that we feel comfortable with. So we don't have the time pressure on this and as we had on the other. Is that correct? Through you, Mayor?
Ms. McDougall?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that is correct. Other than summer will be creeping around the corner on us. So that'll be our goal. If this is approved, we'd obviously love it up for summer.
Yeah, and it can't come soon enough. Thank you.
Councillor, go ahead.
I'm sitting here trying to know how polite I can be. We use trees for shade. We use trees for flooding. We use flood control. You know where I'm going with this. And we didn't plant any trees here. So is there anything that we can plant that will perhaps age into shade for this town square?
Ms. McDougall?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there are a few trees. However, their location are not necessarily ideal for where the sun rotates around the building. The only option would be to have it right in the middle of an amphitheater potentially. And it could take years before that tree is ever substantial enough to create shade for us. So yes, we do have some trees. We noticed in some of our events, people gravitate to those trees and hug the little trunk of it just so that it can get into the shade. But that being said, the trees will grow that we have. They just will not likely cover the shade that we're looking for.
Councillor?
And where the beautiful Christmas tree is, there's no room up there to plant any trees that would be shining south to north. That might help. Is there any room up there to do some trees?
Ms. McDougall?
Through Mr. Mayor, that bed that the tree is in, the Christmas tree is in, that tree needs room to grow itself. And subsequently, there wouldn't be room to add a large shade tree in that location.
Okay, I find this ironic and sad that we didn't think about this. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments, or questions? Call a vote. Carries. Next, Councillor Gilliland, did you want to move it? It's yours.
Yes, please.
Seconder. Councillor Gardner, thank you. Councillor Gilliland, go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, so this one here, let me just get back to my notes. This is something that I know that the west side of Aurora has been begging for a rather long time. And, you know, my decision to pick on a few things on the growth and new is obviously because I'm looking at other places for growth and new. And this is one of the ones that I know that we had done a study with Parks and Recreation and found that there was a deficit of canine amenity space. And I know, Mr. Mayor, you and I have had conversations about this and recognize in this side of town that there is a deficit. And I really would like to be able to put some sort of placeholder in to allow this project or a project of some sort to move forward. We've had several reports come back and we've had a lot of discussions, but frankly, we haven't gotten off the pot, for a lack of better term. I would like to be able to express that there was support from an association on the west side of town, and they weren't unable to delegate. So I just wanted to read what they said. They said, on behalf of myself and our DOG Dog Owners Group, comprising of residents from the west side of Aurora, I wanted to express our strong support for the proposed amendment by Councillor Gilliland to include provisions in the 2026 capital budget for a new off-leash canine amenity space on the west side of Aurora. The proposed amendment is consistent with similar proposals made by town staff in the past, all of which remain unrealized. It is supported by the town most recent Parks and Recreation Master Plan and is very long overdue. Without repeating our detailed submissions over and over made previously about the significant need for such canine amenity space within Aurora, please review section 711 of the Parks Recreation Master Plan dated June 2023, which is briefly summarized below. It does make reference to the master plan in the addressing this gap. There's a lot of families within Aurora that own puppies, dogs, and so forth. And we should be encouraging people in the community to get out healthy and active. And especially, obviously, their pet is a part of their family. And we want to give families a safe place to be able to bring their pets. And I feel that it shows us being very proactive to doing something about the gap on the west side of town. It's been a growing concern. I've met with this group several occasions since 2021. And I think even prior to that, we've had some conversations. So without further ado, I really think it's time that we set some capital aside for this project.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Councillor Weese?
Yes, thank you. I'm really interested in the report because I agree with Councillor Gilliland, and they've been clamoring for this for some time and they deserve it. It's the right thing to do. The problem is that when we put a number in there, we have to be pretty sure about what that number is. And so I like the idea of a staff report back with the options and the rest of it. And the cost estimates and all the rest of it, but I wouldn't even know what the number we would have to put in for number one. So I can't support something that doesn't have a number to it. If it had a number and we had a report, I'd be able to look at that pretty easily. So but saying that, I'm really eager to have the residents tell us what they want. This is the people's budget and they're the people. So I think it's really important for all of us to listen to the people who are telling us the stories of the things that they'd like for their quality community. So I'm torn on this, but I'm really concerned about what the actual cost would be. So thank you. Mayor.
Councillor Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to ask Councillor Gilliland a question because haven't seen that information. With the people who express this interest to you, what area of the west side do they live? Because we know people don't want to have canine parks in their neighborhoods.
Councillor Gilliland.
Thank you. I believe some of the residents live in Ward 2 and in Ward 3 and possibly in Ward 1. I'm not sure, but I can guarantee you they're in Ward 2 and Ward 3. And from my understanding, they understand it while it might not be in Ward 2, it may be in Ward 3. I think that they're happy that there's something on the west side of town. So it's been something that's been identified. I know that we've talked about it. It used to be in our Parks and Recreation. Anytime that we decided that we were going to have a park, that we were going to have a dog park that or a canine amenity space included, and for some reason we changed it. I think in and around 2019, and we decided to remove that after going through that whole process. As Teen Camp, I think that you remember that, but Al Downey was here at that time. So I think we've been going around in circles quite a bit, and because this is coming from growth and new, it's coming from a reserve, so this will not be affecting the tax base. Really, this is allocating funds to something that has identified a gap, and I feel like we've been talking around in circles on this subject for at least, from my experience, for at least 7 years.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner.
Thank you, Councillor Gilliland. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, we know we've tried in Ward 3. It's very hard in a populated area. So perhaps through you, Mr. Mayor, to Ms. Steenkamp, we were speaking earlier. Is there a place you envision where we might be able to do this? Now, we may not be able to do it this year, but where we could plan something significant for the residents?
Teen Camp.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. First and foremost, the location is the first thing that needs to be decided on. I mean, as council knows, location has been the pain point for residents. We've brought numerous locations over the years, including a budget associated. Until that location is decided, it's hard for staff to come up with a number. It'll be determined about the type of park that it is, whether it's a community destination park, whether it's an off-leash trail area. So those numbers would vary significantly from a staff's point of view. And I mentioned it the last time I brought a report and there was no decision on the location, or it was defeated. Staff would only recommend at this point, probably new lands on Yonge Street that were purchased last year. There aren't any residential properties adjacent to it. It's open land where a dog park wouldn't affect residential properties, which seems to be the pain point for residents. So that being said, that's where we see a potential park going in. There's limited tableland on that property, so we can't do a full community park with a number of amenities. There's a lot of naturalized area where we could have trail, we could have a dog open space in conjunction with some other type of infrastructure, whether it's court-based or what have you. And we had that in the budget for, I think, 29 or 30 for construction. But just because of where the reserves are, and we had to push it out. We had to give somewhere in the budget. So that's been pushed out to 2035, I believe, for some construction. Now, that being said, there is the potential for us, if a dog park, we could do something on a lower scale, maybe not put in a full driveway, or a full curbed paved parking lot. There would need to be paved parking or some sort of parking lot to facilitate it. So it could be on a temporary basis or a lower scaled down version. And then when we did full park development in 2035, then potentially we could close the area, develop the park to the level that we wanted to, and then reopen it. So that would be staff's suggestion potentially, but I think the first thing is that we report back on a dog park location, and if there is a motion already on the pending list from you, Councillor Gilliland, that actually asks us to go out and do public solicitation for a dog park on the west side of town. So or community amenity space. So that is in the pending list for 2026, and there's a report coming based on the pending list in December. So we have that in our work plan for 2026.
Thank you.
Councillor.
That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Gallo.
Thank you. And yeah, I share the concern with number 1 and number 2 that, you know, I certainly can't support number 1. And it says that the 2026 capital budget be amended to include a capital project for the planning, design, and construction. I just can't, you know, and there's no number. I have no idea if that 2, 3, 5, 10 million, 500,000. I just don't know. And number 2, similar. We can accomplish number 2 once, I believe, number 3, if that passes. Even though I'm just reminded that there is a report pending and coming to deal specifically with this, identifying a location and costs. So let's wait till that comes. And it's, you know, if anything, it's number 3 that seems to be already in the works.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Councillor Gilliland, second time.
Thank you. You know, these amendments that we do at budget, it's pretty new. It's the first time I've asked for an addition to a budget item to a budget's been presented, because we've never really been in a situation before. And this to me was the best way to go forward, by asking to have the mayor and staff actually put something concrete in the budget to say, hey, we're committed to doing this. And right now, I'm not seeing any commitment to this. And I feel like we've been talking around this project for what feels like 6 or 7 years. There's stuff on the pending list. Absolutely. There's stuff on budgets. We had a budget presented with things that were on 2025. We get pending lists. It's a placeholder. I'm looking for a placeholder. I don't know what that is, Mr. Mayor. I know you and I talked. We had our ward budget committee meeting together, and this was the one item that I felt that was important. It was asked by the residents. And Mr. Mayor, I know that you had suggested. You said, you know, we'll put a placeholder in, but we can't guarantee the location. But put a placeholder in for this project. So if there's a better way for me to present this than the way I've presented it today, then please guide me in that direction to make this work. But right now, what I can tell you is that the people on the west side of Aurora are tired. They're tired of being told the exact same thing over and over again without any concrete commitment. And knowing that there is capital that is set aside to a project will give them some sort of hope and optimism that something's going to happen. But to wait till 2035, like that, no. I mean, I've been dealing with it since 2019, I believe, was the first report we've had about these types of spaces. That's a long time. And I want to see that this council shows their commitment that we're going to do something on that west side, and we're not going to let this lag. Yes, I know that this property on the west side by Yonge Street is new revelation since prior to my pending motion. Okay. And there's reasons why that property is now available, which I don't want to rehash. But yes, that has been a topic of discussion. And we have also talked about other potential sites. Ms. Tinkham and I spoke about off of Wellington on the south side. That was also a possible option. So I feel like, Mr. Mayor, if there's some guidance that you could help me understand the best way to put this forward, my goal is I want to have some capital set aside with a commitment that we are going to include an off-leash canine amenity space on the west side somewhere. If there's a way that I can reword this in a way that makes sense, please, I am open to those suggestions.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? My suggestion would be for us to wait for the report that is pending and that will be coming. And at that time, we can hear on some costs or maybe some suitable locations, and we as a council can vote on moving forward at that time. I'll call the vote. That's defeated. Councillor Gilliland, did you want to ask something quickly before I move to the next one?
Yeah, I wanted to know what exactly the wording of the outstanding motion, because right now, if it's just public engagement, I'm not so sure that's sufficient, because Ms. Steenkamp, you referenced it, but I don't really have it in front of me. So
I'll allow this, but that's something we could probably do offline. You can get it from Ms. Steenkamp, but Ms. Steenkamp, if you have it in front of you, or you don't have it in front of you? Councillor Gilliland, she doesn't have it in front of her. So
okay, I just feel like some of the premise of that could have influenced some of the vote tonight. So I'm just really happy with the way that was handled.
Thank you. Next one's 7.8. Councillor Gilliland, this is yours. Do you want to move it?
I do.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Gardner. Thank you. Councillor Gilliland, go ahead.
I think this is pretty self-explanatory. I'm really just bringing this forward because in general, we've been getting some messaging that we are under a hiring freeze, and that which has been communicated to council and the public, and essentially means no new positions. And no new positions unless they're temporary, or no new positions unless we fund them through reserves. The freezes needs to be real. So in my opinion, it just shouldn't be here. I understand that this might be a temporary rule and that the student will help train, but the principle, in my opinion, matters. As far as I'm concerned, if we're telling residents and employees that we're tightening up our belts and adding new positions through a tax stabilization reserve, I just don't really agree that's what the reserve should be for. I think everybody in the community is looking to stretch, they're being asked to stretch themselves and take on more work and more responsibility all across all employments and jobs within our community. And I think the town should really model after that discipline. And if the town has the ability to be able to look within themselves and be able to adjust their workloads to take on the responsibility, then I think that would be great. Otherwise, it can be moved to the 2027 plan. I do want to make a note that in my original motion, that with my amendment, it was to either adjust your workloads within or defer to 2027. And the note that I did get back was that staff would look internally to adjust their workloads within, and it wasn't necessarily put that part of my amendment. So that to me confirms that that's perhaps something that we can handle.
Councillor Gallo.
Thank you. I just want some clarity through you to Councillor Gilliland. Are you saying to remove the position entirely, or just that it's not funded from the rate stabilization?
Councillor
I was saying to remove it entirely. We're under, the impression we're having a hiring freeze here and we are to remove it. Or if it's something that's really, really necessary down the road, then staff have the choice. They can defer it to 2027.
Councillor Weese.
Yes, I had the same question as Councillor Gallo, but I'm also interested in the rationale for the part-time contracted student position. And my question would always be, what are the risks that we take should we not have this new part-time person in? I fully appreciate the notion that we are not going to have new positions here because they're inflationary, et cetera. But this is a student position, and I'm interested in what purpose they would have and what risks you would undertake if that isn't allowed. Through you to Ms. Wainwright Van Castle.
Ms. Wainwright Van Castle.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So the intent of this position is to provide some additional capacity within procurement because procurement is currently over capacity just doing the regular day-to-day. And they don't even have a capacity to do some of the analytical work they need to do. They're just busy working with departments to get the procurements done as fast as they can. What the challenges we're facing with right now is there are some procurement activities that extend beyond outside of finance, and they actually do some work within the departments, particularly a number of the admin assistants. And with the documentation and the training that's gone out so far, there's a lot of inefficiency in the way things are being done. The training documents need to be improved. So all our user guides need to be improved. And we also need to do a lot of work on our vendor registrations. So right now our vendor registrations are done by admin assistants, they're done by procurement, they have to be reviewed and approved. We actually want to start pushing that work onto vendors and take that work away from our staff so that the staff across all departments will get more time back to be able to actually work on their other priorities than doing some of this administrative type of work. And right now we have no capacity to do this, even with if the student provides that enough extra capacity to keep the procurements moving and do this extra work as well. And this is a temporary need that we have right now. It's not something that's an ongoing need. And this was the most cost-effective way that we found that we'd be able to do this. And it's only for as much as we need the students' assistance. Students are come in at 4 months at a time. So if we find we don't need them for the full year because the work is done, we don't go for the full year.
Councillor.
Okay, good answer. Procurement's important, and this is a low-level position to do some intake types of things, et cetera. I get that. But you did suggest to Councillor Gilliland that you could live without this person. Is that the case? Was that the statement that was made through you, Mayor? Maybe to Councillor Gilliland that maybe I heard it wrong?
Councillor Gilliland.
Sorry, me? Yeah, well, I mean, from my understanding, the second part of my amendment was not required because there's any understanding that staff would look within. So that kind of told me that it was something that wasn't urgent and that you could internally be able to offset your own workload for this. Again, for me, it's also a principle, it's understanding that we're under a hiring freeze and this is not hiring freeze.
Councillor Weese.
It's all from me now.
Thank you. For Councillor Gardner. Ms. Wainwright Van Castle, is it possible to satisfy everyone by putting in a clause that would state that dependent upon successful Canada Summer Jobs grant from the federal government, we could utilize that grant money for this position?
To you, Mr. Mayor, the challenges with the Canada Summer Jobs grants is typically we only get grant funding for summer camp positions. We don't get them for any of the administrative positions, and it's only about $2,500 that we would receive for a summer job grant. There's a lot of stipulations around it, and they do prefer the summer camps positions and some of the positions within Miss Team Camps area relating to parks.
Thank you. Councillor Gardner.
Thank you. From previous budget presentations, the PMO's office and business transformation office, they were saying that the way procurement is now organized, well, you used the word transformational. So is the work that's being done or has been done in that in the department, is it going to affect what you're talking about, or is this basically a hands-on labor kind of thing?
Swear, I guess.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So a lot of this is hands-on developing the documents and the training documents. One of the things we found since we implemented the new financial system is the original training documents are not as clear as they need to be for non-finance or non-procurement people to be able to use. That's part of the challenge. We weren't able to roll out vendor registrations due to limited resources and roll them fully out to vendors so they can actually do self-support. And it also increases the reliability of the information because it is coming directly from them. So it reduces the risk of like a man in the middle cyber attack type issue. So it's more that hands-on work that needs to happen. I know the project management office, they are proposing a project which is really going to help with some of the departments in developing scope of work for different types of projects. And that's where we're looking at developing some AI tools for developing that scope of work. And again, that's work that generally happens outside of procurement, but procurement and the PMO are really trying to work together to produce some efficiencies and improve these processes. Because as we improve these processes, we can really reduce the amount of time it takes to get procurements complete. And we are striving to do that. We have seen some improvements with automated workflows since we implemented the new system, and we further want to modernize and make the process much smoother.
Councillor.
Thank you. And I imagine our cybersecurity staff is in the mix somehow.
Swear,
Through you, Mr. Mayor.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So it's particularly with the vendor registrations, when you actually send that out to vendors to manage on their own, they have their own secure passwords to be able to get into the system to provide information. When you're receiving information via email, it takes a lot of manual work to do a lot of extra validations to make sure that came from the correct person. A lot of checking to make sure that the information is correct and ensuring that it's not coming from someone it shouldn't be, and we don't end up paying the wrong accounts. So there's a lot of work that goes into that. It's very administrative and very labor intensive.
Councillor.
Thank you. And if we do have this student contract position or a part-time contract position, will that then put us in a position where we're up to speed, or is there a lot more work that has to be done?
Councillor, I'm going to pass the chair to Councillor Kim. I just need to go for a second.
Okay, thank you. Like where I'm not in favor of this, but on the other side, where will we be at after we have this person?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So by having this position available to us, we'll have the capacity to implement a number of these efficiencies. If we don't have the extra capacity, procurement is going to be focused on pushing out the procurements, and we're not going to reap any of the rewards of this type of efficiency because we're not going to have the time or the capacity to do the work. It will have to wait.
Councillor Gardner.
It sounds like we could use this person, but again, I'm not interested in it coming from the tax stabilization fund. So that's all for now.
Thank you. My question was, 47,000 for a full year part-time contract for students seems a little bit much. Mind you, that's given that I don't have experience hiring part-time students. So given the immediate challenges that you have with regards to updating your training manuals, cybersecurity and all the other admin exercises you'd mentioned, is there a possibility that the 47,000 can be reduced to perhaps satisfy some members of council and still be able to get some work done in your department?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So the 47,000 includes mostly salaries, but there are some benefits which are still required to be paid. This doesn't include things such as OMERS, health and dental, but we still have to pay CPP, EI, a number of other benefits that are required under legislation. So it's not entirely salaries. The premise for this position is we want to try and see if we can get the work done. And if it takes us just 4 months or 8 months, then that's how long we'll need. And we won't draw the full amount from tax stabilization. The plan is only to use as much as actually required. The upset for this is a full year. Do I think it'll take a full year? I don't think so, but we'll only be drawing what's absolutely needed. And if in the situation finance runs a surplus, we won't be drawing any of the money from tax stabilization. But we'll only have the student as long as needed.
Councillor.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful.
Thank you. Council, I apologize. I had to quickly run out. That was the premier on the line, so I just want to let you know that's why I had this kick off. Councillor Gardner, go ahead.
I just need to understand this better because maybe I'd like this position. $47,000 part-time. What is that? Like half a day?
Mr. Mayor, Evan Castle.
Again, as Councillor Kim said, that sounds like a lot of money.
It's through you, Mr. Mayor, it's a temporary contract position. So it was paying our student rate at 35 hours a week.
Councillor.
And that's part-time?
Mr. Mayor, Evan Castle.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the position is not intended to be part-time. It's a contract position.
Councillor.
Thank you.
Councillor Gallo.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, is this the work that this student be doing? It doesn't appear to be a one-off. It seems like it's something that would be continuing on an ongoing basis, unless I'm incorrect.
Mr. Mayor, Evan Castle.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the reason it's set as the way it is with a a contract position, because this is one-off type work. It's reestablishing and setting up those user guides, getting them to where they need to be, rolling out the vendor registration process and putting in some of those efficiencies. Those are extra work over and above that we have in the queue that we're not able to get to because of the regular ongoing work. So this is a temporary higher need of work that needs to be completed.
Councillor.
And through you, Mr. Mayor, once that work is done, this position is no longer needed.
Mr. Mayor, Evan Castle.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, that's correct.
Councillor.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Call the vote. That's defeated. Council will take our health break. 10 minutes. Okay. We are back. 7.9. Councillor Gilliland, this is yours. Did you want to move it? Seconder? Councillor Weese, thank you. Go ahead.
A minute. Okay, so I think this is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, I'm assuming that because under the Mayoral decision in 2023 -03, that town is required to engage an external consultant for the council compensation review, and that the direction was issued under the strong mayor power authority, which means council and staff are obligated to implement it. However, the 2026 budget does not contain any dollars that are allocated towards this consultant work. And I confirmed this when I had asked last week, so that's why I chose to put this in. If that direction is still active, then the budget as presented does not comply with the I guess the mayor's own order. We knew about this in 2023, so this isn't a surprise. So it's not like we didn't have preparation in knowing that this was coming. Needless to say, if this direction has been withdrawn or amendment in council does not, hasn't been informed as such, essentially the motion just simply ensures the town budget reflects the obligations under the Municipal Act. And this is just so we have a number in there that is reflective of the mayoral decision that was done in 2023.
Thank you. Before I move to anyone else, I just want to get some clarification. The money is already in the budget through our HR department. Is that not correct? Mr. Serio?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, we were going to use the operating budget, the consulting line.
And we've already gone to tender, and we can't go to tender as municipality unless there is funds available.
Yes, we didn't go to tender. We just requested quotes because it's a nominal amount.
So we are fulfilling the mayoral directive.
To you, Mr. Mayor, yes, we are.
Thank you. So this amendment is moot. Thank you. Councillor Gallo, go ahead.
It kind of answered my questions on what the plan was. And it looks like the plan is in action.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Gilliland, second time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a comment in the fact that I did ask whether or not this was in the budget at last meeting, and it was not clarified to me that this was in the budget, which is why I put this amendment forward. I would not have put the amendment forward had this been the case. So I'm just really disappointed in the lack of communication, for a better term. And I really don't know any other which way to go about this. But when I specifically had asked, I wanted to see a number. I don't see a number. So through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Serio, then, is there a number that is associated with this within the budget? Because I did ask last week and I had no answer.
Mr. Serio?
Right now, through you, Mr. Mayor, there is a range of what we're looking to pay based on the consultant's quote that we'd be looking to pay them. I can say that it's an upset limit of about, we haven't engaged the consultant yet, so I don't want to fully disclose too much information, but it would probably be around $25,000.
Councillor?
Thank you. So is this budget item in the current budget that was presented in 2026 then, through you, Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Serio?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, it's in the operating budget.
Okay, well, then I'm happy to withdraw this motion. However, I do want to make this clear that I did ask whether it was in the budget. And at that time, I was told it was not showing in the budget and that we're expecting a report. And that is the only answer that I got. So I do wish that when I did submit this to the clerk, that perhaps this would have been circulated to appropriate staff to respond to me to say that it is in the budget. And that way we don't have to waste anybody's time. So without further ado, I am happy to withdraw this motion, this amendment.
Councillor Weese? Councillor Gallo, did you want to ask something before I officially withdraw this?
I did because it affects my decision. Well,
Well, I got the mover and the seconder saying to withdraw it.
I just, if I can get an answer.
Yep.
Does, seeing as how it is in the budget, does this create a pressure that is directly linked to a 2.2 increase? Is it directly linked to the, or is it within the base budget of the department?
Mr. Sarah?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it would be in the base budget. There is a consulting line in the HR operating budget, and that's where we would be taking the funds from.
Music to my ears. Thank you.
Yeah. Motion or amendment is withdrawn. 7.10, Councillor Gallo, you brought this one forward. Did you want to move it?
I do. I just have a request.
Yes.
That if we could, and perhaps it'll be a little more palatable for some at the table. There are 4 points to my motion. If we could vote on 1, 2, and 4, and 3 separately. Whether that matters to you eventually in terms of vetoes, I don't know, but I think maybe at the table it might help.
Yeah, we'll get there when we get to that point. But yeah, no, absolutely. I actually have one. If you're going to move it, I'll wait for a second. Is there a seconder? Councillor Weese, thank you. Clause 1, if you could change the word direction, as there was no direction provided in that adopted by council on June 24th. There was a request. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Go ahead, Councillor Gallo.
I'll just read it out so that at least everyone listening understands. Number 1, that the 2026 draft operating and capital budget be reviewed and adjusted to align fully with the 0% municipal property tax increase. What's the word? Requested. Sorry, reviewed and adjusted to fully align with the 0% municipal tax increase requested adopted by council on June 24th, 2025, and 2, that no reduction to service levels or community partners fundings allocations shall be made as a result of achieving the 0% tax increase target, and 3, that community partners budget request for 2026 shall be considered and funded through identified savings, efficiencies, and or reallocations within the existing budget framework, rather than through an increase to the overall budget, and 4, that staff provide a detailed summary demonstrating how the 2026 budget reflecting the measures outlined in the June 24th, 2025 motion, including cost containment initiatives undertaken, deferred or phased capital projects, grants or cost sharing opportunities leveraged, operating efficiencies achieved, and reserve fund strategies used to maintain financial stability. That's it.
Councillor Reese, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm in support of this, and thanks to Councillor Gallo for bringing it forward. My concern, however, is the way we go through our amendments, that item number 2, no reduction in service levels or community partner funding shall be made. I had the motion for the Aurora Sports Hall of Fame, and in there, they are considered a community partner. So I guess through you to the clerk, what is the interpretation of Councillor Kim's, because he was talking about this, it wasn't seconded, and does a yes vote on this include a yes vote for all of the community partners, or is it something we need to make a minor amendment to? Can you help me with that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes vote on this would be for all of the community partners. So an amendment to exclude a community partner would need to be made.
Councillor, although would that not be contrary to what the motion is?
It wouldn't, to you, Mr. Mayor, it wouldn't be contrary because nothing was decided with Councillor Kim's motion. It just was never made the floor.
No. And sorry, Mr. Councillor, I'm just trying to get this correct for everyone. Would that not be contrary to Councillor Gallo, is that no reduction to service levels or community partner funding allocations. I believe Councillor Gallo's amendment, I mean, Councillor, correct me wrong, that's for all of them. And so therefore, if he wanted to make an amendment, that would be contrary to that clause. I could be wrong. I just want to make sure we're
No,
clarified
I
on what we're
wouldn't.
doing here.
I don't see anything if, like, it depends what the amendment is. And at the time, I would let you know if I thought it was contrary. As I understand it, and I might be misunderstanding it, but as I understand it, it eliminate or excluding one community partner from this would not be contrary.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Weese. I just want to make sure we all know what's going on. Go ahead.
Well, I'm glad you understand that because I didn't understand it completely. So I mean, if the amendment is that the community partner budget requests, except for the Aurora Sports Hall of Fame for 2026 shall be considered and funded through the identified savings, then that would resolve it. But that's not
So
an
my
amendment.
understanding is what the clerk is saying is that you would have to amend it. Otherwise, what's right in front of us includes all community partners.
So I'd like to make that amendment then.
Yes. You'd like to make that amendment?
Yeah.
To exclude the Aurora Sports Hall of Fame.
Yeah, from that item number 3.
There's
All
back-
other ones stay in there except for the item number or the Sports Hall of Fame, because that's going to be dealt with on pause until the other one
Mr.
is
CL?
resolved.
Mr. CL wants to jump in. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, not to make a confusing situation more confusing, but as I read Councillor Weese's earlier motion, the budget contribution for the Sports Hall of Fame be paused. So it doesn't speak to the addition. It's the entire contribution. And so the whole, whatever they're going to get is paused until that comes back. So I don't know that you need to identify, unless you specifically don't want to include them for an increase, should they get through the audit. Is that fair?
So Mr. Seos will take his position because I'm hearing the clerk saying that's fair. So your amendment was to pause the funding,
All funding.
all funding until there's an audit. If you excluded them from this, our CEO is suggesting that if you excluded them from this and this passes, that even if an audit was done and came back to us, that they would not receive the funding because you've excluded them from receiving funding in this one.
The increase.
The increase.
Just the
increase. Sorry. They
This
wouldn't
was
get the
just
increase. They wouldn't get the inflationary increase.
Right. So an amendment would be that the community partner budget requests. It's not really the budget request.
This doesn't change your amendment.
Doesn't change it.
This doesn't impact your amendment.
Okay.
If that's what you're concerned
Well,
about.
really what I want to make sure is that the community partner budget requests are honored. But we've got one that is on pause. So.
And this does not impact the other amendment.
Can I clerk? Correct?
That's.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So my only ask.
Any other comments, questions? Councillor Gallo, second time.
Thank you. I just want to be clear and consistent, quite frankly. My original motion back in I think it was June. My second, be it further resolved that staff be requested to not reduce service levels as a result of zero-based budget. So whoever, I assume you, Mr. Mayor, decided not to give the 2% increases to our community groups. That was not consistent with what I had put forward back in June and the majority of council had asked for. It was to find savings, to not reduce the service level, not reduce their budget. It was to find savings and fund whoever we needed to fund. So this is an attempt consistent with what I put before to be very clear that, at least in my view, I want to fund the community partners increase of 2%. And that funding should be through, as described, savings and not a tax hike.
Yep. Any other comments, questions? Councillor Gallo, how did you want to separate this? Yeah, how did you want it again? One,
Uh,
1, 3, and 4? 1, 2, 4.
Yeah, I believe 1, 2, and 4 could be separate, and then the third
Okay.
one is the important one.
2, 4, and then 3 is going to be separated, correct? Sorry.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yeah, I just, a couple of comments before I call the vote. I mean, if this passes for 0, I'll tell you right now, all this creates is a massive tax hike in 2027. That's all it does. And as far as the community partners and service levels, I don't believe inflationary 2% is going to decrease the service levels in our community partners. When you have a $2 million revenue, if we think $11,000 is going to impact the services, I believe there's another problem with the organization then, out of a $2 million budget. And that goes for all of our community partners. I think that they can handle this without impacting any services to our community. And that's why we moved forward with this. So I'll call the vote on 1, 2, and 4. That carries. 3. Carries. Affirming by law. Councillor Weese, seconder. Councillor Gallo, all those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Kim, Councillor Gardner, all those in favor? Opposed? That carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.